Hello, everyone. This is Tom, your host for the Hidden Truths channel. How's everybody doing this evening? Crazy times we live in. Anyway, I was going to do my live stream on a different subject tonight, that big, beautiful bill, right? But obviously, I've changed to what happened in Idaho and my thoughts behind it. So, anyway, crazy times. But to talk on a little lighter note, on my way up here to the northern part of Nebraska, well, I've seen some interesting weather. I got some shorts of a cloud that was just, I've never seen a cloud like it before. It was huge, so symmetrical, it was round. Anyway, it was crazy. And then a rainbow. Saw both ends of it. Got video of that too. So, tell you what, there's some beautiful sights here in the Sandhills. I have seen lightning. I don't know if you really call it lightning, but it was lighting up my bedroom like it was a strobe light. It was going off. I got a video of that on there too, playing it to the music of Funky Town. But where this it was purple and it was crazy, and I never really saw any lightning. Just a bunch of, like I say, it looked like there was a strobe light going off in the sky. It was just lighting up my bed. I couldn't even sleep for it, and it lasted for hours. It's like there was a cloud in the sky. You couldn't really see the sky and stuff, but it would last for hours. It was intense. So anyway, the sights of these sandhills, the weather we see out here, I never seen anywhere else. Even the lightning storms. In the desert, you see some pretty awesome lightning storms, and not like you do out here. So, by the way, I saw some really interesting cloud formations and weather formations today on the way up here, and it's still storming. So, if power goes out, oh well, that's part of the sand hills too. Few and far between. So, anyway, okay, we're going 3 minutes into it, so we'll get started with the subject tonight. What happened in Idaho? Well, I tell you what, this has all the earmarks of an Iranian sleeper cell, okay? It's a terrorist attack. One reason I say it's a terrorist attack is because of the way they did it. Get the first responders there and then attack, just like they do in these other countries. They do a little bomb, get the first responders there, and then when all the people and first responders there, then the big stuff goes off. Anyway, it's got all the earmarks of this. I mean, I really believe it's an Iranian sleeper cell attack. And until they come out with some definitive proof that it's not, I mean, I don't think it's obviously somebody who hates America. And I don't think it's an American citizen who's going to shoot up. Even liberals, as unhinged as they aren't going to do this, all right? At least I hope not. Not in the, this is a well thought out thing. This is why I think it's an Iranian deal, okay? I mean, they did say they want to activate the sleeper cells, and I think they have, but this would have been something that was planned, a site that was chosen for. Obviously, they had positions where they could fire from and be in complete control of the situation. I mean, when the one fireman saying we're all shot up, that's like a military term, So it's crazy, but we'll see. But I sincerely think this was not just one person. This was planned. And there's military precision to this. This wasn't just some couple guys that are out drinking, and decide they're going to plan to do something in a couple weeks and take this on. That's not what this is. This is a well-planned, well-thought-out thing. And if they don't catch them, obviously they had their escape routes. Now, Coeur d'Alene, I was through there a few years ago. It's a lot different than it was when I was going through there in the 90s, early 90s, but it's obviously more city now, not as much. Well, you really can't tell where Coeur d'Alene ends and Spokane begins. There used to be forest between there, but it's not there no more. Everything's one 6-lane highway on each side and a lot of buildings. So, but I sincerely think it's an Iranian attack. It's pretty safe up there. A lot of people coming up from California. Couldn't be noticed. I mean, now we're finding out what all these military-aged, physically fit men coming over the border with no dependents, what this is all about. Can you imagine if I'm right? Putting America on notice that this could happen anywhere? I don't think it's possible out where I live, but if you're in a big city, I mean, this is terrorist tactics. I mean, how is a first responder supposed to go out to a situation if they think they might get shot up, or it's a possibility they might get shot up? Anyway, I don't think it's going to be a one-time thing. So we'll see, but this is obviously done by trained people. This is like, say, this ain't a couple of rednecks that live like, Idaho hillbilly on YouTube. Okay, it ain't not that he would do this, but I'm saying it's not guys that live like that planning this and doing this. Okay, this was a little bit more sophisticated than this. I mean, wasn't the FBI saying how they're watching these Iranian sleeper cells? Or they were saying that. Well, the thing is, if you're watching them, why aren't you arresting them? I can just see it. When the Nazis sent over those four people to do espionage and blow stuff up here during World War II, except they never did, gave themselves up. But can you imagine if the FBI would have known about them, would say, yeah, we're watching them. Watch it come out. They're going to sit there and say, yeah, when they find out who did it, yeah, we're watching these guys. They're always watching these people before this stuff happens. But, we're at war, people. This is the stuff, as a Marine in the 80s, we were over there trying to keep it over there. And now, thanks to our politicians on both sides of the aisle, because they can sit there and put a little bit more coinage in their pocket, they decided to flood our country with an illegal army. And they didn't even need a Trojan horse to come in. They said, hey, come on in. You need some money? You need a bus ticket? You need a plane ticket? Hi. Sorry. Coordinated Iranian attack. Yeah. That's what I think it is. Like I say, there's no way this is a couple good old boys hanging out in the hills all of a sudden wanting to shoot up first responders. This is an attack on America to spread terror. And like I say, get the first responders there and then hit them with the attack. Whatever it takes to get the first responders there and then hit them with the attack. And that's what they did. So everybody, who wanted to support the Middle East, well, I guess we got it here in America now. In Coeur d'Alene. What do you think they're planning for, like, New York and Chicago? Maybe that's why Chicago canceled its fireworks display, because they had, intel saying there's going to be attack. This is a real rapture. If you ever seen a second. Yeah, well, anyway, our politicians have done this to us. And then people tell me on YouTube I'm not supposed to get excited, right? I'm just supposed to settle down. I'm supposed to go fishing. I'm supposed to enjoy my life. Well, I think there's probably, there's 2 dead firemen now. So there's probably a couple wives that are upset, some children that are upset. They're going to be crying and stuff. But I'm not supposed to get upset, right? Because it's not affecting all of us yet. This is crazy. At what point are Americans supposed to get upset? I mean, does it have to be at your front door? Bullets coming through your house? Somebody that you love gets affected by this before you get woke up? I mean, jeepers cripes, if this was a C-19, oh my God, there'd be protection everywhere, right? Anyway, how are we going to solve this problem? Well, if this was an Iranian terrorist attack, that's going to get all us vets in combat mode. Flat out putting it. And this is one thing I want to tell all these little fucking punk terrorists. When I was in, I dealt with your daddies and your granddaddies. They were real killers. You guys are nothing but a bunch of little punk bastards. Nothing like your forefathers. Anyway, yeah, it's gonna really make a lot of us vets want to do something. I mean, now we're getting attacked in our own country. Anyway, just getting all shut up. Firefighters, I'm sure there were cops there that got shot up. I don't know who all got shot up, but they got the best of them. And watch them come out and say, well, it was one shooter and, we found the patsy and bullshit. Well, we got to wait for the next attack and the next attack and the next attack. Don't worry, we let all these people in. Then we had judges sat there and ruled, don't forget this, that illegal aliens, immigrants were allowed to had right to the Second Amendment, okay? Don't remember that? No one wants to come through my front door. Yeah, I tell you what. But it's possible that you may have to deal with it. It's no longer you're free in America. You're free in America, but you got to worry about that. What's going to be coming at my front door tonight? This is crazy. This is beyond crazy. Okay, what are we worried about? The big, bad, beautiful, screw job that they're trying to pass through Congress now. Something to sit there and charge America. We can't afford it. As soon as we require the government to actually live within its means, like we're all required to, that'll start solving the problem. America can't afford a lot of things. And the Health and Human Services Department is one of them. By the way, that's a subject for another day. That's what I was going to do the video on tonight, was the bill. But when you got an ambush going on in Idaho that obviously the cops lost control of it, the firefighters are getting shot up, and, high-powered rifles. This was a military-type ambush. These people were trained. I mean, the thing is, when you have an ambush too, right, it's not like you just start shooting at targets, okay? There's a specific way you start shooting at targets. Like if you got a convoy, the first vehicle and the last vehicle. So everything's trapped in the middle and just blow the hell out of it. But you got to get rid of their retreats, okay? I don't know what the hell happened. But I know we live in America now where I'm not supposed to get excited. I'm not supposed to get upset. I'm just supposed to watch this stuff thinking, hey, being trained and dealing with war like I have in the service, and I'm just going to stand idly by while our country falls apart and is attacked. Well, you got firefighters' families that are just, and first responders' families. They're just totally, their lives have been totally destroyed. Because men were just trying to serve the public. And that's why I know it's not American. There's no way this is an American dude that did this, or Americans that did this. These are people that hate America, okay? And then notice, they're attacking 911 again. 9/11? Unpopular operation. A lot of, I can't see. My glasses are dirty. Agency are not soft and need more robust funding, better response times. No, what we need to do is sit there and close our borders. Deputize American citizens with $1,000 bounty on all these illegals and round them the fuck up. And if we find out that there's soldiers from another military, well, then they get shot and hung. Especially if you catch them in civilian clothes, they're spies. They get shot and hung. That's the way shot or hung. That's the way the world works. But in this country, we don't enforce this stuff. Just, you know, if stuff gets enforced on Americans overseas, that's one thing. But we don't enforce this shit. But yeah, enemy combatants in this country, especially out of uniform, hey, you're a spy, buddy. You want your last cigarette? That's the way it works. Anyway, but I wonder if these guys are going to escape. Probably. Say, this is all planned out. I never thought the day would come where what we experienced when we were overseas in the service is actually here now. Where American citizens have to be afraid to walk on the street just to do a normal daily function, just like in the Middle East now or any other countries that's at war. Or Ukraine, you never know when there's going to be a missile drop on the building that you're walking by. I guess America's going to find out what the real world's like a lot of us vets did, okay? Tell us not to get excited. Really? What the hell are we supposed to do? Anyway, we can take our country back. But and these politicians that allowed this shit to happen, oh, I'm telling you, if this comes out to be an Iranian sleeper cell that was let through the border and probably given money and whatever to get nice and settled and bought guns legally in this country, there's some Democrat heads that need to roll along with Republicans. All this stuff. When are people going to realize that Republicans and Democrats are all on the same side? Okay? They love spending money. And all they care about winning the presidency is who gets to control the money for the next 4 years. But this is what's going on. The American people are caught in the middle again. And now we're going to be caught in the middle of the crossfire. I mean, when these... Obviously, they hit this Idaho ambush. That was hit hard, okay? Where it overwhelmed the cops, all the first responders. You know, and I'm sure there's going to be more dead than just 2 dead. But how are you supposed to send somebody out on a fire call now? Or to an accident scene? They can stage anything. But I would say it'd be bigger than mass stuff. But all you people that live in the big cities, well, you know what's coming your way. Coeur d'Alene, I guess, that's not a big city compared to the East Coast and, you know, the cities on the West Coast and stuff. And it's out in the mountains and stuff. But it's you know, it's a place where they can pull that off. And it's being so close to Washington, and Spokane has just exploded in size in the last 30 years. You know, like I like to tell the sheriff, how many illegals are in this county right now that he won't do nothing about? Anyway, so you go to big functions, big crowds in big cities, or a big crowd anywhere. It can be small towns. See, they want to terrorize everything, from little small towns to the big cities. They want us all running scared. You know, that's one thing the enemy does when they want to make the morale of the civilian population in a way, but they don't want to fight the fight, okay? They want to scare the American population, so we go to Washington and say, get the hell out of this fight. But see, this is one thing that these foreigners don't understand. They could have us all agreeing with them completely, but our government still isn't going to listen to us. They're going to do what the hell they want, and they're going to spend money on all these wars. The American people are just in the middle. You think we want war? We're sick and tired of paying for it. What's up? Spray. Hey, how you doing? Oh, spray can. I like that. You can call me that. Spray can tan. I wish it was that. Then I wouldn't have to get so hot. But anyway, yeah, I appreciate you being here. We're talking about this Idaho ambush, and I do believe it's an Iranian sleeper cell attack. So this like too much military precision planning. You know, this was planned out for a while. And if they could try to come and tell us this was a couple of hillbillies that were drinking for a couple of weeks talking about what they're going to do, that's bullshit. But that's why this channel's called The Hidden Truth. You know, all I see is another conspiracy being born from this. But anyway, we'll see what happens tomorrow. But when this starts spreading, then they're not going to be able to hide it. Can our politicians make it any safer for us? One of the jobs of our politicians is to protect their border. Don't let anybody in illegally, especially enemy combatants. And then they were talking about putting the illegals in the military so they could earn their citizenship. Boy, wouldn't the government like that if they sent a foreign government like that, if they sent a bunch of their people up here, military men, went through our training in our military and then went back and trained their military. Plus, then they'd be able to operate all our weapon systems. Great idea. See, there's now the politician idea that's absolutely retarded. Let's do what Rome did. Let's let foreigners guard our borders. You know, but they'd probably do a better job than our government's doing right now, or did before. And I'm sure there's still illegals coming through and stuff. But I mean, if you were an invading army, wanted to invade the United States, at least get a couple divisions worth of troops in, and they got the southern border wide open, handing money out to people as they cross, where else would you send your troops to go? Jeepers Creeps, can you imagine Adolf Hitler letting the Americans into Germany like that in 1944? It's crazy, but now we're seeing what all these military age men were. You know, between the riots and the Mexican and the Palestinian flag and all that stuff. And now this. Boy, we just live in the safest country ever, don't we? I don't remember none of this as a kid. I do remember always, being told, not that you lived in fear of it, but you knew that, Russia and the United States could go to nuclear war at any time, okay? You were well aware that they didn't hide that from us kids. But nowadays, I mean, that was nuclear bombs coming over here, not people getting shot in the street by a foreign army that our politicians let in. And I'm not going to let the Republicans off the hook here either. They are not doing nothing to stop it. I guarantee you there's more people coming in every day than they're kicking out still. Guarantee it. Hey, how come he's not building the wall again? I hear nothing about building the wall. Even though, the walls don't keep nobody out unless you're a politician. Maybe don't matter what D or R by your name and you got a big wall around your house to keep the people out. Missed one day of news and it's every day something is going on. I know. Missed one day of news. My God, this just started happening this afternoon. This is why I hate trying to plan out live streams, because with the world the way it is, I mean, I was going to go on the big, beautiful bill tonight. and tell Americans how great it is that you're going to get bent over again. But no. Now we got to talk about what I think is Iranian sleeper cells. Anybody in the military has been in the chat, tell me what you think. Tell me you don't sit there and look at this as a planned, attacked ambush. Like if you were out with your squad and you were going to do an ambush, or you're out with your platoon, let's say, and you were going to do an ambush on a certain group. Of course, not baiting them in, but anyway, it's just too military precision. Okay? So, and Iran did activate the sleeper cells. FBI said that they were watching these sleeper cells. So, well, that's good. I'm glad they're watching them. Maybe they could start doing something about them. So just one more thing in America that we have to worry about. Malls. It's so hard to fathom that the stuff I used to deal with in the military is here in our streets now. But it was different than I was armed and prepared for it. Here they don't even want us carrying guns. Oh, you can just all become victims and get shot up. We'll have the cops take care of it. I just keep reading headlines about shootings of firefighters. Come straight here. Seeing you live. Yeah. I mean, this is, like I say, anybody thinks this is American that did this? Anybody think that anybody on the right or left went totally off their cracker and the cheese slipped off the cracker and they're doing this? Not in your life. These are people, this terrorist attack, trying to create terror in America. And first responders, as this happens a couple more times, there's going to be a lot of terror in America. Or if it starts happening at malls. You know, these soldiers that are coming over, they're not going to be the terrorists that want to blow themselves up and go to their 72 virgins. Okay, I just got one thing to say about that. When a Christian dies, I'm going to go a little religious on here. We believe our soul leaves the flesh and goes up to heaven and gets to experience stuff that the flesh denies us. Okay, right? But these Muslims believe that heaven is pleasures of the flesh. Their heaven is a sexual whorehouse. And anybody who thinks, okay, 72 virgins, if they got to stay virgins, you're in hell, buddy, because you ain't going to be able to touch them. And if you touch your 72 virgins, you're going to be in hell because you're going to have 72 non-virgins that aren't going to leave your ass alone and bitching at you all day long. Anyway, crazy time. Pleasures of the flesh. That's what their heaven is. Anyway, but that ain't going to be these guys. These are going to be trained military soldiers to attack and not be sacrificed and attack again. And attack again, and attack again. Remember, they're in a foreign country. They're in their enemies. These are Iranians. They are in their enemy's country, walking through the streets of their enemy's cities, dealing with their enemy, okay? Getting to know their enemy inside and out. But see, they still think that's my enemy. It would have been no different than if Americans would have been walking around Tokyo, Japan. Could you imagine Americans walking through Japan in World War II? You know, Japan just letting them in. Hey, yeah, come on, I realize we're at war, but don't worry about it. Crazy time. Just be totally observant. If you can carry a Second Amendment tool, carry it. Because it's not just about protecting you anymore, okay? Every American citizen is responsible, if you can and have the ability, to protect other American citizens. You don't have to put your hand on a Bible or hold your arm up and take an oath like we did in the service or the cops do. You're an American. You got a fellow American that's in trouble, and you got the ability to help them out, stop the harm coming to them. That's your job now. Just like no different than you got to give aid. If you're able to give aid and you see somebody down the street, legally you got to give aid. Now we're at the same point, except now the bullets are flying. But don't worry. Your politician's going to tell you that your neighbor is your enemy and hates your enemy because he's got a nicer car than you. I can't believe this stuff. But it's all, it's not like we haven't been warned about this. So now it's here. Unless somebody can come up with a different explanation besides the one that the feds are going to come up with. Anyway, the people in charge realize what's going on, and they realize they got their hands full now. And they're going to try to keep it a secret. But whatever. It's not like the Iranians are going to sit there and the sleeper cells are going to, hey, yeah, it's us. No. They're just going to keep attacking. Hey, if the government don't want to sit there and tell the people what's going on, it's all in our favor. We can run around and nobody's even going to be looking for us. Because it's, a couple of hillbillies out there hopped up on moonshine that decide they want to shoot the place up, right? Or so I'm not even going to believe somebody on the right or left lost their mind. A couple people did it. I'm not going to believe that any American was able to do this. Especially you're dealing with a different mindset out there too. It's not quite as close-knit as we are here, but it's still smaller. There's not really much. You go Spokane and Coeur d'Alene, there's not really much east or west of that for quite a ways. So they're still kind of out there by themselves. It's kind of closer knit. It had to be outsiders. Okay, or I'm not going to believe either that it was a couple transgenders that just couldn't deal with stuff anymore. Okay, this is starting to go beyond what an American could have done. Okay, and it's got too many military type training, planning type stuff. It was a perfect ambush. Okay? Somebody who's trained on how to do ambushes did this ambush. And I know it wasn't somebody that was trained from our military. So anyway, that's what we got to look forward to nowadays. Great. Can't wait to see what next month brings. At least Russia isn't sending sleeper cells over here. But they don't have to. They can just send nuclear weapons. Anyway, anybody think we're going to have peace this year? Wow. They get to pass that new big, beautiful bill. They're going to have trillions of dollars to spend on the military. Great. Can't wait. So, since they're fighting wars and spending all our money on wars overseas, I guess the war that's happening in America, us civilians will have to take care of it. Us vets and stuff, okay? But see, since they don't realize it's going on, they don't need to know that we're taking care of it. Like I say, we, as American citizens, we don't have to wait for the government to sit there and say, you can take your country back. You can protect yourself. You can make sure your neighbors are safe. We don't have to wait for the government to tell us that. We have the authority as Americans to do that, okay? This is the thing. If the government don't want to do it and the cops aren't able to do it, then it falls on you as an able-bodied American to do it. Everybody's going to find out what their responsibility as American and what American citizenship all comes with it. All comes with. Instead of great nights at the club and movies and vacations and nice houses and stuff and nice cars. People are going to find out what's going to mean to be an American citizen. Anyway, we'll see what happens, but what they come up with tomorrow. But Iranian Sleeper cell attack, they've started. So anyway, this channel never asks for donations or money or sell stuff. If you want to support the channel, hit the thumbs up and subscribe and the bell notification. Help spread the word. Trying to get this channel to grow, because if the people that are trying to spread the word of what's going on are silenced, okay, I'm pretty safe where I'm at. In fact, I'm real safe. But somebody that may hear this may not be safe, but it can wake them up a little bit, okay? I'm just trying to help out my fellow American. And if social media platforms want to shut us down, well, then I know where their loyalties lie. But the thing is, if you're an American, especially a rich American, they hate you worst of all. Anyway, we'll see what the word is tomorrow. See if we have any. Well, we got the 4th of July coming up. No King's protest. It's going to be a long, hot summer. Everybody be safe out there. Have that third eye watching everything. Pay attention to everything. Don't go anywhere that you've never been to before. Make sure you know where all the exits are. Don't get into the middle of the crowd. Stay on the outskirts of the crowd so you can get away faster. So many, I mean, I got a prepping channel and I need to seriously start doing some prepping videos on how to prep yourself for combat as a civilian. Crazy time. Anyway, this summer might top 2020 and 2021. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, it may top it and put BLM, Antifa, and the Patriots all on the same side. That's when you know this country's in real shit. When they all get together and say, hey, we got a problem. We'll deal with our problem after we sell this problem. I know, crazy. Anyway, might want to make a run to the store too. But we'll see what happens. I hope more Americans don't get shot up. More first responders need to be safe. But this terror attack, to the T of the book on how they do it. Do something small, get the first responders there, and then do the real attack. Okay, and I'm sure there's probably civilians that got hurt. Anyway, just a classic way they do stuff. Anyway, stay safe out there, everybody. And we got a 4th of July coming up in 5 days. Be vigilant. You know, I'm not one that sits there and likes to call the cops. But if you see something that obviously, you know, if you see something that doesn't look right, especially in your neighborhood, say something. At least say something to a neighbor and say, what do you think? Get a second opinion. So you're not the only one sitting there thinking, if something happens, God, I wish I would have said something. I wish I would have done something. Anyway, everybody have a great night and have a safe few days. And we'll see what tomorrow's subject's going to be, but definitely not going to plan it now because it'll all change by tomorrow. But everybody have a great evening. This is Tom with Hidden Truths. I'm out.